Don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. Hi everyone, it's Mike here. So today I had an idea, well last night actually, I had an idea to create kind of an autumnal scene on some watercolour paper. Kind of like a landscape thing with some trees in, but with all autumn colour leaves, but done in a way that I've never done before. So the first thing that I want to do is to kind of create a ground for my background, add in some colours into the background, kind of like a bluish, maybe for a sky, and then add on a little bit of like green towards the bottom, so a kind of ombre effect going from blue down towards green, maybe to a darker colour down towards the bottom, with maybe a little bit of orange mixed in, kind of browny colours mixed in, and then have like some trees over the top. So that's kind of like going to be the plan for the art journal page, but the trees are going to be done, like I said, in a way that I've never done before. So it's going to be a bit of a trial and error. It's going to be one of those, I hope it's going to work, but it may not work, so it could turn into a disaster. In the words of a very famous person, this could go either very, very well or very, very badly. So we're just going to have a go and see what happens. So I've got some watercolour cardstock down. It is some about 300 GSM or about £140 watercolour cardstock. It's fairly smooth. It's not hot press, but it's not rough like cold press. It's kind of like in the middle. And to do my sky top first, I've pulled out some Indian turquoise Americana, Deco Art Americana paint, and I've also got some sour apple, which is a nice kind of greeny colour. Let's turn them upside down so you can see the colours. And I'll put them in the kind of order that I want to do them. And then for the bottom part, I've got some avocado, which is a darker green. But within that, I'm going to fleck in some orange. So this is bright orange. It is kind of bright, isn't it? On that side. And also I've got a couple of browns out. So I've got True Ochre, which is a yellowy brown, and I've also got Dark Chocolate, which is a dark brown. I've also, for my leaves, got True Red, I've got Bright Yellow, and I've also pulled in a little bit of Coral, because that's kind of like an in-betweeny colour, isn't it? It's kind of a pinky orangey kind of colour, still a warm colour. So that's the colours that I'm going to be using today. So to start off with, he says knocking them all over. Fancy standing them all on the heads, but they're not stable at all. Oh, I've also got some white, just to kind of lighten things up a little bit if I need to. Okay, so we'll start off with that turquoise. Give it a shake. Put a little bit onto my craft mat. And then I'm just going to use I did have a flat brush. Where has it gone? There it is. So not a huge size brush, just a smallish one. And I'm just going to dip the end of my brush in some water that I've got off to one side. There you go. Just off camera a little bit. And I'm just going to grab some of that paint with that water. And then I'm just going to do a wash across the page. And I don't mind getting it darker in some areas and lighter in others, because the sky in my world is never one set colour. It's not just one tone of blue. It's got different depths to it. Add some more water up there just to lighten that top part up, and then bring that down a little bit darker towards the bottom. Just kind of create a wash of colour. So it comes down pretty much about halfway. Just add some water down there. That's it, kind of disguises that. It's going to disappear anyway. So just add a little bit more water towards the top. And then I'm going to just get a piece of natural sponge, and I'm just going to dab in across the top just to kind of break it up, just to add a little texture into the background, so it's kind of creating a kind of motley effect. It's not kind of lifting the colour off, it's just kind of stippling. And then I'm going to dry that. Not all the way, but just so it's on the turn, if you know what I mean. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in that darker colour, that avocado colour. And I'm going to do the same thing, but only with a little bit of that paint. Get some water, just lighten it with that water, and then start from the bottom and work my way up. So a little darker towards the bottom, and then as we go further up the page, and then get it to meet in the middle, add a little bit more water, and then bring it back down again just to darken it back up again. And you can add a little bit more in there. And while that's still wet, I'm going to just bring in some of that dark chocolate. And I've got a fan brush. I'm just going to dip the end of the fan brush, and then I'm going to dip it into the green, and then I'm just going to flick it. You see how it's created kind of like a grass effect. And then I'm just going to get a little bit of that brown, and then just flick that towards the bottom. I may probably need just to dry that a little bit, because it may be just a little bit too wet. Okay, let's just dry that off a little. Okay, that's dried off a little bit, so we'll come back in. A little bit of water, a little bit of the green paint. And then a little bit of that brown towards the bottom. A little bit darker colour. I'm just flicking with the fan brush. There we go, that'll do. So let's get that dried off. Okay, so now that's kind of dried, mostly dried, my stencil tape's just starting to come off. I've still got that brown paint there, so I'm just going to grab some of that brown paint and I'm going to just draw in or paint in kind of like some tree branch shapes. So we'll start, and I'm just twisting the brush. So I'm not getting an even line. Painting using the dark. and then just feather out towards the bottom. And then just use the brush to create some branches. Different kind of sizes. They don't have to be perfect, just your suggestion of branches. And I'm just taking them up and then just dividing them out. It's one of those things you can get lost in. And I'm going to do the same here, but I'm not going to make it quite so big. Just do it a little bit further back. So just fill that up. Fill that out a little bit towards the bottom, and then a couple of branches. And I can take that one just off the page a little bit. We just have a little stumpy bit. Okay, so I'll just darken that up in some areas. Couple of trees there, so we'll dry those off. Okay, so with a smaller fan brush, I've still got that green there, so I'm just going to grab a little bit of that green on my brush, and then like we did before, I'm just going to flick up. Down towards the bottom. just to kind of add a little texture. And then if you want to, you can just add a tiny bit brown. And that should do us. Okay, so again, get that dried off. Okay, so now my background is dry, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some of that red, the true red, and I'm going to just put a daub on the craft mat there, but I'm also just going to bring in the smallest amount of the brown again. And this time I've got a larger fan brush, and I'm just going to just wet the end again, just so it's a bit damp, and then grab that red, and I'm going to just start dabbing with the fan brush, and I'm following kind of the line of the tree branches. I've got a little bit of brown on the end there, so we'll just try and eliminate that. But that doesn't really matter. Just build up that red towards the middle. And then again up that side. Follow the line of the branches. And also just a couple on the ground. So I'm just going to keep on adding those bits of red. And then I'm going to stop. And then I'm going to dry those off. Okay, so next I'm going to bring in that bright orange. Give it a bit of a shake. Add some at this side, just so I don't use up the entire space. And I've got the smaller fan brush this time. And again, I'm just going to pick up bits of orange on the ends of the bristles, and I'm just going to repeat the process this time with the orange. maybe just a little bit more. There's not a lot really I need to say while I'm doing this. It's all pretty much self-explanatory. I'm just working the paint right to left and then left to right back into the brush, so I've got some across the bristles. And I'm just adding it where I think it just needs a little bit. I think maybe just break up that a little bit there. And then while I've still got the orange on the brush, just come back in, maybe with a little bit of that red. Just down at the bottom there. Okay, so now the orange is done. Okay, so orange is dry. I can just dry off that fan brush. And then I can bring out my small fan brush again. Make sure none of the bristles are all clogged up. That's better. Just fan out the fan. And then I'm going to bring in some of that yellow ochre, a true ochre. And we'll just add some of that down there. And then just pick out the edges again. And this time I'm just going to twist the brush round while I'm going. I'm not going to go hugely mad with the yellow. Just want to add in just a little bit, going up each kind of branch line. I wasn't going to go mad, you know, look what I've just done there. Let's just see if we can take some of that off. Luckily, I've still got my orange here and the red, just to kind of break that area back up again. Just clean that off. Give it a quick blast. There we go. And then just grab some of that orange. There we go. That's kind of nicely broken it back up again, and then I can carry on with that yellow. And again, just add a few yellow dots down at the base. And then we'll start on the yellow on the other side. Again, just following the line of the branches. never used a fan brush to do trees before. I know that's pretty much what it was invented for, but so we've got some nice kind of colour coming through on those trees. So for me, what I also want to do now is, just while I've still got that yellow ochre, is I've got another little like a fine detail brush, and I'm just going to come down the side of the tree. Just adding in just a little bit of detail to the trunk. Doesn't have to be a lot. Just rinse off my brush as I'm going. So again, I'll just quickly dry that off. Okay, so everything is now dry, and I've removed the tape from around the outside just to kind of give it that little bit of a frame, and I'm hoping that you can see the detail of those kind of leaves done with that brush, and that the blue is being picked up here. I can't really tell on my computer monitor, but the last thing that I wanted to do just to finish off is to add a little bit of shimmer. So I've just pulled out some indigo blue gold finger, the gold paint, and I have my fan brush again, and I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that gold paint on my craft mat. I have a tiny touch of water, and then I'm just going to throw in just a few little golden shimmery points. Just to soften. That should do it. And it's going to be a real kind of like subtle effect to it, and it's also added a little bit of diffusion just around the outside of the trees. Just makes it look a little bit as though the wind picked a couple of those leaves up and is just tossing them up into the air. So I'll just grab a wet wipe, just wipe up those bits of gold that escaped, and then once again I'll get it dry, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so everything is now dry. Now I'm hoping the camera is just picking up just there, look, that nice little bits of gold shimmer in those trees. Kind of adds a little bit of a 3D effect as well, I think. Just a little minor one. But I'm pretty happy with that. And I was thinking to myself, you know, I need to add in a little quote or whatever for my art journal page. But at the minute, I'm actually happy with the way it looks. I don't particularly want to, I won't say spoil it by writing on it, but I don't actually think it needs anything at the moment. I'll probably come back to it. I may add something a bit later on. Don't want to add any black in there, so all I'm going to do for this is I'm just going to sign it, but I'm going to sign it in a copper pen. So this is a Stabilo, a Signo permanent ink but copper, like the white ones that we use, but this is a copper version. So all I'm going to do is just assign it in the bottom, like that. Of the 11th, 19. And then I'm going to call it a day, because I'm happy. The idea of playing with that fan brush to create that leaf effect has worked quite nicely, so that's just another little technique to add to my arsenal for future use. So one of those little experiments that I think turned out rather lovely, and I hope you enjoyed watching it too. So if you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up, share the video with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.